Well, good evening, laddies, lasses and lassos. Welcome to the click. You smell absolutely astounding today. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. There are many beautiful ways to traumatize people in this world. Sometimes you can jump out and go, a boogie woogie woo. Oh my, terrifying. Sometimes you can simply exist and be gay. A lot of people find that oddly terrifying, for some reason. And sometimes you can just bring out your big old sword. Oh yes, indeed. Where that black steel just sings to your soul, thirsting for the blood of your enemies. Oh, that sweet, sweet nectar. And sometimes you can do it with words, like a civilized person. Oh yes, indeed. Which is why today we are taking a look at r/TraumatizeThemBack. Have you ever encountered a bully or a Karen or someone who's like weirdly invasive or offensive, and you don't just think of the right thing to say in the moment, but you think about it 3 years later in the shower? That's what I always do, at least, and you just argue with yourself in the shower and you feel very silly. But these are stories where the person had the perfect comeback in the moment. So we are gonna read them together and just indulge in this satisfaction. Enjoy. Mwah. A guy asks me why I am wearing a mask. Found the subreddit thanks to the click. Oh my god, he's very cool. Subscribe to him now or I will find you with my sword. I will let you pet my sword if you subscribe. Okay, let's get on with the story, shall we? And wanted to share the story. Some background information first. My city was mostly anti-mask throughout all of COVID and continues to be. I don't agree with this, but it's a smaller town, so it was easy for people to get away with. I actually wore masks before COVID because I suffer from dermatillomania. Oh, nailed it. I learned a new word today. Look at me go. It is basically a mental condition where I struggle with peeling off sections of my skin. I was shopping at the grocery store with my husband and we were wearing masks. I turned around the corner of an aisle and a man looks at me and asks, "Now why are you wearing a mask for?" He was loud and clearly looking for an argument. So I just try to brush it off and say, "I have a medical condition." I try to look for my husband, but he was still in the other aisle. The man then asks, "Oh, what kind of medical condition?" Oof! Already overstepping boundaries, I see. Isn't that beautiful? I am blown away by the audacity of this guy, but at this point I hear my husband come up behind me and I suddenly feel courageous. I pull down my mask and show him the rest of my face. He sees the wounds and some bandages. He looks embarrassed and quietly says, "Oh, honey," before walking away. Why is it always the people who are so eager to push boundaries and this kind of stuff? They're just absolute cowards when push comes to shove. I don't know, it just cracks me up for some reason. My husband immediately turns me around and hugs me, since he worries about my self-esteem, asking if I'm feeling okay and such and what that was about. I just answered, smiling. Well, he asked. I pulled my mask back up and we continued shopping. I realized after I should have just kept my mask on, but it felt good somehow. I also don't know if I was right to call it a medical condition or not, but kinda panicked in the moment. Meh! I think it's totally valid to call it a medical condition. As a professional YouTuber whose opinion totally is on par with a doctor, I don't see a problem with it. And even if it wasn't right, a white lie like this to get back at a bully or someone clearly pushing boundaries or just looking for a fight, I think it's absolutely valid. We see that on the subreddit quite a lot, you know, when people, for example, are touching tummies all the time of people they think they're pregnant. And sometimes the person who's getting their belly touched just tells them something like, "Nah, I just had a lot of cake over Christmas." And the person is instantly embarrassed and runs away, even if they actually are pregnant. The white lie just makes it so much more sweet. White lies are sometimes justifiable. And in TraumatizeThemBack situations, I really think they are. If you disagree with me, you get the swingy. This was in early 2021, so 3 years of therapy later, I have been doing much better with my condition. I don't pick as often or as much skin as I used to. Now, I usually don't even wear masks anymore to hide it. I wish I had this kind of confidence back when I had my grandmother say I looked like a meth addict. That is so awful. Isn't Granny supposed to be like sweet and supportive and stuff? What is this garbage? Oh my god, if you're a Fallout fan, you should have totally just replied with like, "I don't care about what you have to say to me, smooth skin." That'd be amazing. Not that your grandma would understand the reference, but just to like flabbergast them. Thanks for all the support and comments. Glad to know I am not alone. You're definitely not alone. I think you should be very proud of the TraumatizeThemBack story. That just shows that even people who are so eager to bully people for stuff like this are absolute cowards when push comes to shove. Look at that, you just completely established dominance. He never talked to me again. It's beginning to look like no contact. Sparkle! I was at work one day and went to the smoking area on my break. 2 male coworkers were already sitting at the bench, so I joined them. I don't remember what the conversation was about, but one of them says, "I don't need to be good looking. I just need rhinopol." Is that how you pronounce it? Rhinopol? Yeah, it's not good. That's a really bad joke. Oh, is it Riffnol? Is that a Rhinopol? Riffnol? Ah, it's good enough. No one is going to be upset in the comments about this. This immediately set me off, but I stayed calm and said, "So not only are you ugly, but you also condone R-wording." Oh my god, that one line alone is such a zinger. He says, "It's not R-wording if it's not forced." Oh my god, that's so awful. He's actually doubling down. It's just a lack of consent. That can be done with sheer physical violence, or with drugs, or if someone is unconscious, or you name it. It's still R-wording. This guy is just redefining stuff for his own accord. That's great. So I proceeded to describe what little I knew of my own roofie experience, from the last thing I remember to the bruises I found the next day, and how many guys were involved, etc. I ended it with, "Now, if that were you, how would you categorize the experience?" He just got up and walked away. I didn't work there very much longer, but never ran into him at the smokers area again. It just terrified the crap out of him. He probably felt embarrassed and sank through the floor, as he should. One thing with jokes, and this is especially true for like dark humor or edgy jokes and that kind of stuff, the key to make jokes like that work and not just be offensive on someone else's behalf is that they should kick upwards, they should be like a satirical commentary on the flaws in society. There are some stuff about comedy you need to figure out to make it land. This person just sounds like they haven't really matured past the age of like 15, which is wild, especially in the workplace. If this happens in the workplace, don't be worried to talk to someone about it. Making these kind of jokes so casually at a workplace is absolutely wild. I do hope you're feeling okay. At least you made him sink through the floor, which is very satisfying. Maybe that will make him rethink cracking this kind of stuff again. Hell yeah. Ignore my medical issues and I get pissy. When I was in high school, my doctor accidentally let it slip that I had been formally diagnosed with ADHD 4 years beforehand. My parents hadn't wanted me to use it as a crutch, so they just hadn't told me. Wait, what? Your parents kept literal ADHD a secret. No, they can use it as a crutch, blah, blah, blah. You realize that the assistance you can get with ADHD, for example, is just give you like an equal playing field to the other kids. That's not using it as a... What are you talking... What do you mean crutch? The whole crutch analogy doesn't work because you basically removed a leg from your kid and be like, but you can still run around like the other kids. Okay, anyway, let's keep reading, shall we? I was furious and immediately pressed to start medication and getting education accommodations. My parents sort of sheepishly agreed to everything I asked for, and I started doing well for the first time ever. This is all background info. That is really good that you finally got the support though, but the fact that you had to find out this secret and push your parents to do it is absolutely wild. There is a clear difference between not giving your kid everything on a silver platter and like making them work for stuff they want, for example, and the value that comes with it, and like giving them the base accommodations they need to just be on equal footing with other kids. Come on. We moved, and I was taking a freshman science class in my sophomore year, because my old school had done what was effectively the sophomore science in my freshman year. I am the 16 new kid doing standardized testing with a classroom of freshmen I don't know super well, and suddenly, I have to go to the bathroom. My education accommodations allowed for bathroom breaks whenever, because the medication I was on at the time included a fun side effect of bladder control issues. I raised my hand and asked the substitute teacher who was acting as our test proctor while our normal science teacher was on vacation. And she laughed at me. She said she wasn't born yesterday and no amount of accommodations would convince her to let me leave the classroom during standardized testing because I might meet up with a friend who had answers to the test or something. Oh my god, that's so stupid. I mean, even if you don't want to acknowledge the accommodation, right? People have bathroom emergencies anyway. People have bad tummies or bathroom emergencies or time of the month. You name it. There are so many reasons and this is definitely one of them. It's like, oh my god, so stupid. I was born yesterday. Back when I was a kid, we just shat ourselves in class. Oh, back in the good old days. I tried to argue with her and got increasingly more desperate as I explained in hushed whispers what my medication did and its side effects. She continued chuckling and shaking her head with a stupid, bemused smile. Stupid kid has to go to the bathroom. Never heard of such a thing. I started crying, and before you knew it, I peed myself. Honestly, the next bits are a bit of a blur. I remember the smile slowly falling off her face, and then suddenly I was in the nurse's office wearing gym clothes and listening to my parents scream at the principal in 2 different languages. My parents agreed to not sue if the substitute was fired. She wasn't able to get a job in another school in the area, and the district apparently brought separate charges against her for ignoring accommodations. She had to pay a steep fine. And the whole thing is so stupid. Even if you want to ignore the accommodations, which is really bad to begin with, people have bathroom emergencies during tests all the time. When I went to uni, which is arguably way more serious testing than this, we would sit for like 6 hours and have like serious math tests, you know, for your uni grades. You could still go to the bathroom. We had a bathroom list, so in case there was some cheating or someone left notes in the bathroom or something, you could track who had gone there, you know, and you know, if it became an issue. You just had bathroom lists, and then you went to the bathroom, you had a couple like test guards and that kind of stuff. This is how you do it. Pretending that people don't need to go to the bathroom is absolutely wild. Thankfully, some popular kids decided that anyone who made fun of me about this wouldn't be invited to the cool kids' house parties, so I was only teased a little bit. Still wasn't popular in high school, but at least my parents became somewhat more supportive of me and my educational needs as a result. I hope that lady enjoys her unemployment as much as I enjoyed watching someone sign my yearbook a few years later to Piss Girl. Piss Girl, what a crappy, oh my god, couldn't they give it a cool nickname, like Teacher Fire or something like that? That would have been absolutely badass. But it sounds like it was a relatively happy ending, at least. You got your accommodations, your parents are supportive, your parents actually pushed back against the school, the bad substitute was fired, you know, relatively happy ending. Talk about traumatize them back. Karma really hits you like a truck sometimes, doesn't it? Did you know that today's episode is sponsored by Raycon earbuds? Whoa! Raycon has sold 3 million of their previous everyday earbuds, so you know they are a fan favorite. But now is the perfect time to check them out because they just launched their upgraded model of the best-selling everyday earbuds. The upgraded everyday earbuds offer everything you love about Raycons and some more, because now you also get active noise cancellation, ergonomic design, and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with 2 devices at once. Available in a variety of vibrant new colors. My favorite one is the black one, because it doesn't show when I get it dirty, because I am a dirty boy. They have optimized gel tips for a cozy custom fit, active noise cancellation, and quick charge function. I personally like my Raycons for working out or jogging because they are so lightweight and comfortable. What are you waiting for? Click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/to-click for 20% off your Raycon purchase, plus free shipping. Thank you so much, Raycon, for sponsoring this video, and now, back to the memes. Mwah. Have you ever sucked a pee-pee? Oh, look, there are pictures of kittens! Oh, I love myself some good old kittens. So, extra info. I am asexual, and I originally posted this in r/ace. There was a guy in my small animal care class back in high school who would always ask questions about my asexuality in a condescending tone. You know the ones. How do you know you're asexual if you never had the naughties? Are you sure you haven't just met the right one yet? How can you be dating, insert my partner's name here, without naughties? So you're just fine with being a virgin forever? You know those casual questions you just ask people that is totally not crossing boundaries, so yes indeed. I think the best comeback for stuff like this is being like, how do you know you aren't gay? Have you been with a dude yet? How can you know for sure? My friend Steve here will gladly try you out. Just push it in that direction and see if they either just get uncomfortable enough to back off or if they have some kind of epiphany. Maybe the first one is more likely though. Almost every day while I sat with our class chickens, I was interviewed on what I do with my parts. This is very equivalent to like the whole trans thing, where people are always like, oh, what's in your pants? And somehow just lose their common sense when it has to do with trans people. Asking people what's in their pants is usually seen as a creeper move no matter who you ask it to, right? Like this is wild. People just lose their shit. His favorite of the question was, how can you be so sure you're asexual if you never had the naughties? I tried to explain to him multiple times that I didn't need to have naughties to know that I was asexual. That's a thing you feel, or in this case, don't feel. Like how someone would know how they felt about being with men versus women, or anyone in between. I used all the analogies I could think of, and he just wouldn't stop. Damn, it's like talking to a brick wall. A brick wall that is also weirdly creepy. Goddamn. One day, I had enough. Without thinking, I yelled, have you ever sucked a pee-pee, Mike? I have never seen any person so shocked, like he had just been told something that would forever change his trajectory in life. What? Have you ever had homosexual intercourse with a male? No. How can you be sure you're straight then? Huh? Mike? Stammering, he repeatedly insisted it was because he felt such a strong attraction to ladies, that there was no possible way he could be gay. Every single time I asked him again how he was so sure, struggling not to laugh. My friend was trying to get me to lower my voice. "Look, Mike! Now the chickens are scared! You made me scare chickens! Get back to me when you sucked a pee-pee, Michael!" Naturally, I got in trouble, but my teacher was chill, and it was nothing more than a good scolding and a 2-week ban from sitting with the chickens. I honestly think I could have gotten more trouble. I should have controlled my temper. Well, there is no going back in time, I guess. For the remaining 2 months that we shared class together, he never asked me how I could be so confidently asexual. That sounds like a subreddit. r/confidently ace. r/confidently gay. Man, this can be a banger series of subreddits. Oh my god, it's good. Maybe he learned something that day. Maybe he was scared of incurring my wrath once again. We may never know. I still haven't gotten any word that he did a pee-pee yet, though. Have some chicken photos for your troubles, if Reddit actually adds them to this post, and get yourself some cake. You deserve it. If we can look at the chicken photos again, look at that chicken. It's such a good chicken. Oh my god, chicken. Pet the chicken. Pet the crap out of the chicken. If I'm gonna be honest, if I was the teacher in this situation, you would probably not have gotten in trouble at all. There is this weird thing I keep seeing in stories. Maybe it's from the US or something and I can't relate to it, but back in my day, when I was in school, I stepped up to like bullies once or twice, something like that, and I never got in trouble for it because it was very clear from the situation who the instigator was. So the teacher never punished the kids simply defending themselves. And that's what I find so weird about this story. If I was listening to this and be like, "Oh, you insisted he go and do it with a man? Okay, what's the reason? Oh, he was like non-stop pestering you about your private parts for a month and you finally snapped? Yeah, no, I can see why you did that. That's just like verbal self-defense. That's like no punishment deserved at all. If someone does this, do it again. You're gonna be homophobic in sex ed? I'll be horrid right back." Not a super dramatic story, but I believe is also worth telling. This was in SPAG class when I was about 14 years old. This is basically sex and relationship ed in Ireland, but the country doesn't vet its teachers correctly. Oh, that sounds like a recipe for some interesting situations. Let me describe the teacher. Miss B, a small, slim, middle-aged woman with blonde, coily hair and always some sort of frilly dress on her. She was married and talked about her husband and kids a lot. Oh, is she like a stereotypical Irish Karen? We were talking about non-heterosexual naughties and relationships, as mandatory due to the course. Her words on this were brief. I don't quite remember what she was saying, but I think it was just about the risks of gay sex and AIDS. That's it. That's it. You're having sex ed and be like, "Oh, my husband and kids and all this and straight relationship, blah, blah, blah. By the way, don't be gay, you'll get AIDS." What a nice class. When someone asked her about lesbian relationships and naughties, she finished with, but a lesbian doesn't know she's a lesbian until she had naughties with a man." What kind of logic is that? Now, at the time, I was out to everyone in the small class, but I was a very conventional-looking 14-year-old girl. She didn't know that this sentence set a ball of rage in me. I put up my hand, and when she calls on me, I sweetly ask, "Miss, have you ever had sex with a woman?" She's taken aback. Her face goes blank, and she does these strange, bulging eyes with her mouth open. Ah, the melting brain face. "That is very inappropriate, okay? But no, I have not." "Then how do you know you're not a lesbian?" The whole class roars, and she doesn't have an answer for me. Her entire face just goes red, and once everyone is done laughing, she tries to carry on like nothing happened. Hopefully, this made her evaluate her views on how being straight is default or the norm. I say this a lot, but 13 to 16-year-old me was a frickin' savage. It's pretty similar to the Ace story, isn't it? But I find these kind of responses very beautiful because they're fast, they're snazzy, they're satisfying, but it also recontextualizes it where this person hopefully can emphasize with these kind of thought patterns because now it's about them. How can you possibly make the claim that gay people can't be sure about being gay if you can't make the same claim about you being sure that you're straight, you know? So maybe they learned something, maybe they didn't, or maybe at least they're traumatized enough to not try this poo-poo again. Oh yes indeed. Checker at the store comparing our babies. I was going through the checkout line and my daughter, 14 months, was with me. The checker was kind of side-eyeing her and commenting on how much she's drooling. Not that much in my opinion, also toddlers drool. I just kind of laugh it off and don't engage much. The conversation goes like, him, how old is she? Me, 14 months. Him, oh, is she walking? Me, oh no, not at all. She's not even trying, said, laughing and lighthearted. Him, she's not even trying? My baby was trying at 6 months and walking at 9 months. He said more, but I got so annoyed at the blatant shaming and comparing, I tuned him out. After a while of him going on in his fashion, me, cool for your kid. My daughter has Down syndrome. Really slowed her down. Him, what? Yeah, she has Downs. That's why she's not walking. Oh! Moral of the story, don't compare your kids to other kids, especially out loud to strangers. I always find this so kind of wild with people that do this stuff, and it's not only about babies or people, it can be about anything, or like medical conditions or private things. It's so wild, they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and don't acknowledge that sometimes people are just dealing with things, fam. Why are you pushing so hard on this? And what would be like the point of this anyway? Like, are you so insecure you have to be there and be like, look at my superior drooling toddler? Come on, fam. Come on, really? I know a woman who still does this. The babies in question are in their 40s.
Oh, yes, my beautiful 480 months old. Oh, he's such a little squeezer, isn't he?
I see you've met my mother. This comment section is gold, man. My ex-dental hygienist's son was in the same grade as mine. After a few years of listening to her putting her kid on a pedestal and dragging my son down, they graduated high school. Her son found a job as a clerk in a store and mine went to university to get a master's in economics. She continued blabbling on for a while. The last time she was particularly nasty, I finally shut her down. I told her I have nothing to be ashamed of and my son has done very well for himself. I also told her and her boss talking down to customers is one sure way to lose business. Then left, never went back, neither did my whole family. I saw her again a few years later at my periodonist. She has lost her 20-year job and was now an assistant hygienist. Made me happy. That's kind of weird, right? I always find this to be like an extension of just high school bully behavior, when the only way you can feel good about yourself is pushing someone else down, instead of focusing on just like doing better yourself or just supporting people around you. It's weird. It's weird. I've never really understood people like this. He never made that joke again. When I was a kid, my dad used to make the same joke around his buddies every time. Every time I walk past a baby hatch with her, I think, gosh darn, it's too late. Context from the comments right away, by the way. What is the baby hatch? A place where you can drop off an unwanted infant with no questions asked / anonymous. Okay, so that's like the context to what a baby hatch is. Let's keep reading, shall we? They always laughed, and after a few years of hearing this joke, I snapped. I think I was around 12 years old at that point. After he told this joke for the 100th time, I looked his friends in the eye and said, every time I walk past an elderly home with him, I think, oh, thank God, it won't be long anymore. His friends burst in laughter, and he never told that dumb joke again. P.S. I am from Germany. I try to translate as good as possible. OG jokes were, immer wenn ich mit ihr und der Babyklappe vorbelaufe, denk ich nur, Mist, jetzt ist es zu spät. And my response was, immer wenn ich mit ihm und Altensheim vorbelaufe, denkt ich nur, Yahoo, bald ist es nicht so weit. For all fellow German speakers out there. I learned that a babyklappe, baby hatch, is usually called a safe haven baby box at fire stations. Oh, babyklappe. In Swedish, because we have like, you know, klapp, it sounds like present, kind of. It sounds like a baby present. It just sounds like a wrapped up baby in a box. That mental image, man. Oh my god. That is a really weird joke to tell about your kid, though. I'm glad you clapped back with like a joke of a similar fashion. That sure shut him up. Hell yeah. Now we are both uncomfortable. Content warning, mention of FA. One of my older male coworkers would touch me without permission. Not in a particularly inappropriate way, but when I told him I didn't like people touching me without permission, he felt entitled to an explanation. Look fam, you're not entitled to an explanation for anything like this. If someone turns you down or doesn't like you touching them, that should be fine, and you should be adult enough to simply respect it. Hey, can you please not touch me? Ah, sorry, my bad. That should be the adult response to this kind of situation, or maybe just not touch them weirdly to begin with. But what is this? I demand an explanation. Okay, what are you expecting to happen? Do you think the explanation is going to be good, like a pleasant story? And also, after you heard the explanation, what are you gonna do? If you don't think it's bad enough, are you still going to touch them even though they say no? Like, what's the point of this? What is the end goal, actually? He kept asking, even when I said he wouldn't want to know, that it's personal and doesn't concern him, that the reason shouldn't be required to just stop, and even try to change the subject. So I finally snapped, looked him in the eye, and told him the reason is that I have trauma after R-wording. The blood drained from his face, and he quickly averted his eyes. Very uncomfortable, as I predicted he would be, but at least he hasn't tried to touch me again. I hope there were some people around as well, so he could really feel that public embarrassment. Sometimes the only way to get people like this to stop is just make them feel publicly embarrassed enough. You know, maybe that like instinctually instills in them like, oh my god, I can't be a butthole because everyone will hate me. Kind of like when you weaponize anxiety in a good way. Want to accuse me of stealing? I'll make you look bad too. Thursday, I found out I likely have thyroid cancer. While pretty treatable, and I'm sure I'll be fine, I have already survived cancer twice, and hearing that word again has been difficult, to say the least. After my shite day, I decided to go to a local gas station and buy a poopy pizza and some snacks to hang out at a local park. I had to use the bathroom, waiting for the woman who was in the bathroom. Immediately after I closed the door, she started yelling at me through the door that she had left her dollar. That sounds... Is this a scam? That sounds really scammy. Who like puts a single dollar bill on like the sink or something like that? That is really weird. It took me a second to realize she was talking to me. But when I did, I yelled back to her that I didn't see it, but I'll be out in a minute. I finished up my business and honestly had planned to just give her the dollar if she couldn't find it, as I just happened to have a dollar on me. I don't usually carry cash. And she seemed somewhat frantic, like she needed it for a purchase. That was until she came out and started yelling at me that I stole her dollar, and how dare I steal a dollar from a homeless person. This sounds like such a scam. Just cause a scene and claim that someone took something that you forgot at the place, just to like make it publicly embarrassing enough so they give something back that wasn't yours to begin with. Like, who takes out just a dollar randomly? Like, you're sitting taking a dump in a freaking gas station bathroom, and you're just like, oh, let me just bring up my wallet while sitting on the bathroom. Counting my dollar, put that on the sink, alright? Back with the wallet down, finishing up. Oh no, I forgot my dollar on the moist sink. Really? Do you expect me to believe this happened? Really? Honestly, thinking it was probably a scam, yeah, you and me both, I didn't have the energy to deal with her and thought it was best to just not interact. She continued to yell for a few minutes before huffing and puffing to the front. Someone helped her purchase whatever item it was she wanted, and she talked crap about me to everyone there. Oh my god, this is so frustrating to hear. I hate people like this. I really despise people like this. As she was leaving, she turned back to me. I was now waiting in line and started yelling, "You seriously going to steal from a homeless woman?" Honestly, she seemed in kind of a rough place, so I probably shouldn't have, and definitely wouldn't have usually, but I was at the end of my rope. So I snapped back. Looking her dead in the eyes, I replied, "And you're going to harass a woman with cancer over something she didn't do." Everyone got really silent after that, and she puffed out. Might have been a bit of an a-hole for that one, but honestly, it felt good for a sec. Honestly, in situations like this, I'm very much of the philosophy that people go through rough times, and de-escalating is usually the choice in a lot of situations and confrontations, but if they keep insisting, and they keep coming at you over and over and over again, the point is that being in a rough place yourself doesn't mean that you're allowed to do whatever you want to other people. There is a limit, you know, and they clearly crossed this boundary when they tried to tell everyone you were stealing and a literal criminal, and like ranting to everyone about it, and kept going at it over and over and over again, not to mention the initial scam to begin with. So, I don't think snapping back in this kind of situation is bad, even if they are in a rough place, honestly. Being in a rough place doesn't justify treating other people poorly. I would have gone harder on her lying butt. Listen, you lying duplicious... Duplicious? Dupslitlicus. Listen, you lying duslaplicus French. Hell yeah. It's more intimidating with dyslexia. I just got diagnosed with cancer for the 3rd time. I don't give two poos about a frickin' dollar. If you had left it behind and this isn't just a scam to get money from others, I would never steal it. I was going to just give you some cash to be kind, but since you're slandering me and harassing, you can't frick off with your nonsense and leave me alone. Then let those tears fly. Traumatize her back, or you just bring your sword to the local gas station. That will teach them a lesson. Oh yes, indeed. Tell the entire class about my depression while I'm in the mental hospital. Hope you don't mind me emailing the entire staff about your AA meetings. Ooh, well, you know what they say. Don't step into the boxing rink if you cannot take a hit. Hello! I thought I would post this here, though it happened about 2 years ago. Also posted another sub because the first time I posted it, I put it in the wrong one apparently. I have clinical depression and have been struggling with it for years. The teachers are always made aware of my hospital admission so they can be more lenient on late work after I get back, which I have never really had a problem with. Now, there was this math teacher I had. Let's call her Mrs. R. My dad is a recovering alcoholic and goes to AA regularly, which I'm very proud of him for. When he went to a parent-teacher conference with her for the first time, he had told me in the car that he remembered her from AA and was surprised she got a job since she relapsed constantly. I didn't care much about it, since everyone has their problems, and just decided to forget about him saying it. Now, I had to be hospitalized due to a sewer slide attempt. It was for about 3 weeks, and during that time, I was doing math work to keep up with her class. When I came back, I realized that everyone acted very off when they talked to me. I was fairly confused, so I asked one of my friends what happened when I was gone. Apparently, a kid had openly asked why I was gone for most of the year without any repercussions, and Mrs. R decided it was appropriate to go on a rant about how I was depressed and mentally ill, and that she hated how I was coddled by the school board. This person would get along with that stupid dumbass that didn't think kids need to go to the bathroom sometimes. My god, they would fit together nicely. She also stated that if I was her child, she would beat the depression out of me. I hope this person doesn't have kids. Oh my god, what an absolute horrible pile of garbage. I was royally pissed off at the fact she did that, and thought it was a good thing to do to a kid at the point was in middle school and was being bullied left and right. I mean, Jesus Christ, if you think it's appropriate as a teacher to punch downward at a kid that's already dealing with stuff to the point they go to hospitals because of it, and then also leaking this personal medical information, and also saying the child deserves abuse because of it. My god, what a garbage human being. And also, on top of that, a relapsing alcoholic. This person should not be a teacher. This person shouldn't be allowed near schools. In a rage, I sent a mass email to the staff, stating that she had been seen in AA and how uncomfortable I felt with an alcoholic teaching me stuff. Oh, but karma comes swiftly, doesn't it? Following this, she was terminated because not even the administration knew about her addiction and thought it wasn't safe for her to be around children. I mean, the addiction isn't even the big issue. The big issue is that she thinks it's okay to bully depressed kids and and claim that they deserve abuse. Good riddance. My god, I hope they never set foot in school again. What an absolute trash human. Good on you. You traumatized them back. Established dominance. You wanna be weird about period? You get educated. So now, I am F21, but this story happened when I was about 13-14 years old. My brother is 2 years younger than me, so at the time, menstruation started to be a thing his classmates got. For whatever reason, he started to make very rude comments to me about it. One time, we were eating dinner as a family, spaghetti with tomato sauce, and he refused to eat it because he knew I was on my period and the red sauce reminded him of the blood. Wow. Usually, I would just stare at him angrily, but then one time, he came home from school and he was venting about his classmate. He said that he knew she was on her period because she was sitting next to him in the class, and that when she moved, he could smell something fishy. What? I'm not exactly sure what about this comment clicked inside my brain, but I got really angry. For reference, he has a room next to the toilet, so the next time I got my period, I went straight up to his room and said, "Yeah, I got my period now." He got angry, even pushed me out, but I wasn't stopping there, no. Every time I had to go change my pad and tampon, I would go to his room and tell him that I was about to do it. If he locked himself in, I would scream at him through his door. At one point, I even walked up to him in school and told him in front of his friends. I continued this for many months, and when he got kinda used to it, I stopped. He never had any more rude comments, and now when he's 19, he's very considerate to all the people around him who experience periods, including me. Haha! Spiteful exposure therapy for the win! It's great that he's so much better now about it. Spiteful exposure therapy? Oh, that is gold. Oh, that's beautiful. Your friendly neighborhood cripple, trademark, versus the Jesus people. Hello, darlings. I am back with a maybe? I don't know. My sense of humor is so skewed. Funny story instead of truly traumatizing. This happened over the course of a few weeks, and it might be a nice giggle before the weekend. Recap, T7, T8 paraplegic, there is some disagreement there, so paralyzed from the bra band down. Awesome service dog Peggy and service dog in training Cap. Dog tax is remitted at the end of the post. On to the story. We recently moved to NC from NJ. Now in NJ we have a small group of devoted religious people going around every few weeks trying to recruit new people to their church, new boss babes to their MLM. Okay, I agree with the sense of humor. This is gold. I am a happy enough atheist. Don't bother me, I won't bother you. Treat me kindly, I treat you kindly. The whole golden rule thing too many of them seem to ignore. I don't hate religion, I hate hypocrisy. No one makes a better atheist than a person who went to a Episcopalian pre-K and kindergarten followed by 6 years of Catholic school, including intensive Bible study. Yeah, that seems to be a pretty good recipe for intense atheism. And now that we're in NC, there is a lot of folks inviting me to their churches. It's a neighborly thing. It's a kindness extended to invite you to a larger community. I politely decline these offers and respond that I have a complicated relationship with religion. Almost everyone has been kind and understanding. No one has pushed or tried to convince me. At least until random walking lady. I like to sit on my front porch and enjoy my yard. My dogs come out with me and they play. I get to sit in the sun and relax in my wheelchair, soak up 10 minutes of natural vitamin D, and then put the shade down so I don't burn. I come from a long and proud line of pale and pasty people, so I need to mind how much sun I get. Anyway, when I'm out on my front porch, minding my business and reading my gentle sapphic romance fantasy books, random walking lady comes by. Waves? I wave back. Waving is a big thing here. We wave at other people, at cars going by. It becomes such a habit, I caught myself waving at the darn cat, so I think I have been assimilated into the waving culture of my small neighborhood. So random walking lady calls out hello and asks if I have a moment to chat. I roll down my ramp and go over to the fence. We chat about the dogs, where I'm from, how I'm settling in. The dogs are standing on their hind legs for nogging pats. It's nice and peaceful. Then she pins me down with the, "Y'all found Jesus yet?" I am slightly taken aback at how we went from trading cute dog stories and patting canine noggins to this slightly aggressive inquisition about Jesus and his whereabouts. I cheerfully tell her, nope, don't know it was my turn to watch him. She chuckles, forced, and heads off. Next time I'm on my porch, she asks the same question. I said, no, did you notify the police he's missing? It's not true that you need to wait 24 hours to file a missing persons report. Forced chuckle, and off she goes. Third time was the charm. "Y'all found Jesus yet?" And I reply, "Did you look behind the couch?" This time she loses it, cackling laughter. Just true, honest hilarity. When she's finished, she waved and said, "Guess I don't need to ask anymore." And I replied, "Just check behind the couch. My dogs love to hide there. So do kids." She laughed again. Real laughter. Since then, we just wave, exchange hellos and how you're doing, and all is well. No more asking if I found her wayward Lord and Savior. I still wonder if she ever did check behind her couch, though. With all my love, and until next time, your friendly neighborhood cripple. That's a pretty cute story, though. It's like a Karen light, but with a happy ending when they realize you're not interested and you just kind of laugh about it and live and let live. That's kind of wholesome. I like that. Gee, I'm gonna put this to the side so I don't get tempted to do traumatizing things. Steal my mail. Have fun thinking. You're cursed. I hadn't thought of this in years until my daughter brought it up and suggested to post it here. I am looking behind us now, across the count of time, down the long hall into history back in the before times, in the long, long ago. 2020. I'm talking about 2020. Yeah, you know, BC used to mean before Christ. Now it means before COVID. Oh, how times change. At the time, I was living in the Midwest, and my daughter was living in the Pacific Northwest. She had been starting getting into haunted dolls, and when lockdown happened, she picked up customizing porcelain dolls to keep herself occupied. I sent her a few old dolls I had found at thrift shops, but when I called her to see what she was going to do with them, she told me she never got the package. That's when she told me that porch piracy had become a huge problem in the town. She said that it had always been an issue, but since lockdown had started, they had gotten beyond blatant, and it was an almost guaranteed chance you wouldn't get your packages unless the mail person directly handed it to you. That is absolutely wild. Porch pirates are the worst. It got to the point when the thieves would literally follow the mail truck and would be walking up to the porch to steal the packages as the mail person was walking back to the sidewalk. Oh my god! It's like porch pirates galore. They literally just stalk the mail truck. Come on, man. This, as you imagine, annoyed me on a personal level. If I was going to spend my own money sending something to my daughter for her to customize, I damn well wanted her to get it, not some random muck off the street. I told her I would think about it and get back to her, as there was a doll I had found and I thought it would be perfect for a horror customization. Plus, I wanted to support my daughter with her art, so I wanted to commission this doll specifically. The other important factors that contributed to this situation is that I am pagan. I love ancient and fictional languages, and I absolutely love being able to screw with people that deserve it. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my god, I love this. I'm so into this story already. Hell yes. I spent a few weeks mulling the situation over in the back of my mind, and eventually hit on a solution that borrowed heavily from the satanic panic, which I had lived through as a kid. Yeah, like when they thought D&D was like satanic cults. Wild times. Since I wasn't sure that she would actually get the package, I decided to send a backup doll I'd found and planned on sending with the original doll, just in case the original doll got messed up in a way that couldn't be fixed. The doll had a cracked face, was missing an eye, had a faded, stained blue silk dress, and the hair was a snarled mess. I found a shoebox that fit the doll with a little room to spare and got to work. Everything I wrote is an approximation because I was an idiot and didn't take pictures before I mailed the box off. Stupid of me. First, I aged some printed paper with coffee, crumbled it up until it was soft, then cut out 6 squarish pieces. Then I created 2 sigils and drew them on 2 of the pieces. One small one, where the sigil took up most of the paper, and one larger one, where the sigil was in the center but had plenty of room around it to write other stuff. The sigils were based on the phrases "frick off thief" and "this is not yours." I also used a Gallifreyan translator. That is so good! App and created a symbol that translated into "May you perpetually step on Legos barefoot in the dark." The 4th and 5th pieces of paper had random symbols drawn on them, including alchemical, astrological, the symbols from some 70s metal albums, Led Zeppelin in specific, and random shapes I doodled. The last one I used a Klingon translator and wrote out "frick you frickin' frick," both phonetically and in the actual Klingon alphabet, in a spiral that filled up the entire piece. I am so sad we don't have pictures. This would have looked so beautiful. Oh my god. I took the larger piece with a "not your" sigil in the middle and wrote phrases cursing them into the 100th generation, accused them of preferring goats as sexual partners, etc. in Norse runes, angelic script, and 2 other languages I don't remember off the top of my head. Then I burned some of the edges and some small spots throughout the papers. Once I was done with that, I rolled the largest pieces into a tube, tied it with black and red ribbons, used wax to seal it, and tied it to the doll's hands over her chest with black twine. I then wrapped 4 of the pieces around the arms and legs and adorned and sealed them with wax. I stuck the last piece, the small sigil, over her face. I used a pentacle wax seal stamp to stick it to her forehead. I wrapped the doll in some ancient tissue paper I had found in my basement and put it in the shoebox. I added several red, black, gray, and green quartz crystals, as well as some pinches of dried herbs and flowers from my altar supplies. I finished the whole thing off with a short note written on torn notebook paper that essentially said I was grateful to get this cursed thing off my hands, that I had tried to seal the evil spirit possessing the doll as best as I could, but I couldn't guarantee it would work, and that it was the buyer's problem now. No refunds, no returns, and if the buyer died, not my fault. I went completely cheesy 80s horror movie with the note. It was so overblown. I figured that anyone sensible would think that this was a prank or a prop or some "I'm so dark and spooky" teenager trying too hard to be dark and spooky. But mostly I wanted to make my daughter laugh, or at the very least momentarily freak out whoever stole the box. Admittedly, I had picked up this doll because it struck me as looking rather creepy to begin with, so the set dressing fit the doll well. I wrapped the box in duct tape, then in brown grocery bag paper, added some more random symbols on the seams and mailed it off to my daughter. The aftermath. She said she got the notification that the doll had gotten delivered, but when she went to retrieve it, nothing was there. A few hours later, she was sitting in the living room when she heard a loud thump against the door and heard the sound of a vehicle speeding off down the hill. When she opened the door, she found the ripped open and hastily retaped box containing 2 things. The doll, buried in what looked like 2 full canisters of Morton salt. Oh my god, they must have like ripped open the box, panicked, googled, "how do I trap cursed dolls?" and just bought a bunch of salt. She thought that it was odd, but forgot to ask about the salt when she texted me to let me know the doll actually made it. We were talking about the doll last year when she asked me why I sent it in salt. I asked her what she was talking about, and after she described how the doll arrived, I told her I had actually packaged it up. She was kind of bummed that she didn't get to see it all in its ridiculous glory, but mentioned that they haven't had a problem with porch pirates since then. This is so beautiful. I can't believe they actually bought it. That is so good. They actually believed it to the point they stopped doing it and also desperately returned the package. This is gorgeous. So I guess the local porch pirates were so terrified of the curse they might have unleashed on themselves that they avoided this area ever since. I genuinely thought the whole thing was so over the top and cheesy, it would be obvious it was fake. But whomever stole it the first time was so terrified they had to throw down the doll in salt to break the curse. Edit to add, I picture one of them frantically googling how to break curses or stop an evil spirit, while the other one was driving and shouting about it was all the other person's fault for suggesting they still package it in the first place. Oh, it's kind of the same picture I got from it. It's absolutely beautiful. That is so good. What the heck are you doing? My brother had a friend who came by all the time. I am a trans male. For backstory, whenever he saw me, he would trip me and laugh. And one day I tripped him back. He was pissed and followed me to the kitchen where I was just grabbing a monster. I was on my period and just wanted a little treat. We will call my brother's friends a-hole, asshole friend.
Why the hell did you do that?
You have done it for the past 4 months you came over here. I see no problem. I grabbed the monster.
Why do you need that?
I decided I would tell him the truth. With a smirk, I turned and said, "You see, my uterine line is shedding." AF goes silent. He turns red and looks at me disgusted and enraged.
I didn't need to know that.
I laughed and smirked wider. You see, once a month, my uterine line sheds. My uterus contracts and retracts, causing cramps. My uterus line sheds, blood comes out of my vajayjay during this process. Usually, though, my cramps are bad and my flow is heavy, so I decided to get a monster to go relax with. He was not happy. He left without another word, and I still laugh to this day about it. Oh, that is absolutely beautiful. Want to call my dad? Well, good luck. I remember a story of one of my best mates when he was in middle school. A teacher was mad at a kid in class for some reason, and she went, "Stop that attitude or I will call your dad." The kid laughed and said, "Ha, well, good luck. Maybe you see where this is going." The teacher did not. She went to get the file of the kid in order to call the dad, and when she got back and opened the file, it was written in big red letters, "Deceased." You think it stopped the teacher? Hell no. She went, "I will get a shovel and you will unground him." Absolutely horrendous, you might think, and you're absolutely right. However, the kid was apparently way above that, because he declared, "Don't bother, miss. At your age, you will meet him soon enough." Yeah, it happened. This is the most horrible and awesome story I have ever heard. The teacher really did ask for it. What is it with some teachers and just like crossing the lines with kids? It's the ones that don't allow them to use the bathrooms, the one that thinks it's okay to like bully depressed kids, and teachers like this that are like insisting on someone's deceased parents. It's so weird, man. How did these people become teachers in the first place? That is wild. Well, laddies, lasses, and lassos, I do hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed having you here and you got some good life hacks for traumatizing people back. I do hope you have an amazing rest of your day because you do deserve it, and I will see you in the very next video. Take care. Mwah.